Stormwater Authority. Let us begin. I'm calling this meeting to order. I have no opening remarks. We do have an announcement, and here's the announcement. An executive session was conducted by the Gettysburg Borough Stormwater Authority on July 9, 2026, consistent with Section 708A5 of the Sunshine Act, to review and discuss matters of authority business which, if conducted in public, could lead to the disclosure of information or confidentiality protected by law. That is the only announcement that we have. As we usually do, we have a consent agenda, which is the approval of the agenda, minutes, and other business. It's a motion to approve the agenda, motion to approve all bills and payrolls as presented, and a motion to approve the May 11th, 2026 meeting minutes. Are there any comments about any one of those three items? Not hearing any, I will entertain a motion to accept them as a consent.
So moved.
Thank you, John. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Kurt. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. 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 Any opposition? Not hearing any, it passes. Okay, public comment. These are the comments restricted to items on the agenda. Anyone? Okay. Then we'll go into the audit. Jennifer Kruver-Kebe is here from Mayor Duzel.
Online or no? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was wondering, I wanted to know what you want to project, if anything.
Oh, that's fine. Good evening. Is this one?
Good evening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm just going to provide high-level overview of the authority's financial statements for 2025. The first thing I'll cover are the financial statements themselves. The opinion we gave on the authority's financial statements is unmodified, so that's the best opinion that the authority can receive. And in that opinion, we stated that the financial statements were materially accurate in accordance with a modified cash basis of accounting. And just some highlights from looking at prior year to current year. The total assets did have a slight decrease. The net loss for the authority was $16,000. But the biggest change was on the revenue side because there was a change in the billing. So there was only, if you look at 2024 compared to 2025, it looks like it was cut in half, but that's only because the billing structure itself changed. So the billing that took place in 2025 was for 6 months, and then effective, I believe, it was January 1st, 2026 for the entire year. So that would be the biggest change that you were to see if you're looking at prior year to current year. On the expense side, slight increase in expenses of $31,000. I think a majority of that was due to increase in engineering costs. And the stormwater project costs that are associated with the borough assets did have a substantial decrease compared to prior year. And that's dependent upon the types of projects that took place. So the biggest project that took place in 2024 was, I believe, the Washington Street project. So that's what those changes there. But other than that, the financial statements themselves look very similar to the previous year. We talk about the relationship between the borough and the authority. So that's included in there, and any dollar amounts of the expenses associated with between the authority and the borough. And then we also issued the DCED report. So that's that annual financial report that's required to be filed to the Commonwealth, to DCED. So that was submitted, and we gave an unmodified opinion in accordance with the regulatory basis. So we said that the DCED report was materially correct and materially prepared in accordance with the DCED report and instructions. And then lastly, there's a communication letter that it's called Communication to those charged with governance. In accordance with our auditing standards, we're required to have all of those communications and no significant changes to the prior year. So there were no changes in your county policies. We did not have any material proposed audit adjustments, so we have no findings to report to the board regarding the 2025 audit. And all of that other information is very similar to prior year in that communication letter. Did anybody have any questions over what I covered or the
Yes,
audit
a
itself?
couple of questions.
Yes.
One, there were no control issues at all, right? You did not issue no findings, nothing, everything is good there?
That's correct.
Perfect. And we're on a cash basis, not on an accrual basis, so therefore timing on a cash basis is really crucial. So as we change years, that's the cause of the $16,000 loss.
Yes, the net, correct.
Okay, got it. Okay. Any other questions? Sounds like it went smoothly and very similar to last year.
Yes. Yep, no concerns.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jennifer, thank you very much. Our job, as I understand it, is we accept this audit. We don't really vote on it. It's just part of the overall borough audit. So I don't think we need anything but a sort of an agreement on the board here that we accept this as presented. Right.
I don't think we did a motion last year, did we?
I don't think we did. I think it was
no.
consensus.
Yeah, this is an informational item.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, we post, the requisite required DCED documents online, make those available as we have to legally, but otherwise, there's no motion needed.
Okay, great. Thank you. And again, thank you, Jen. Okay. On to current business financial updates, Charles.
Year-to-date, revenue over expenses are in line with your budgeted parameters. So these will come down a little bit as we get deeper into the year, and we have some more expenses for some of the larger projects. The Water Street Bridge will probably have a few more invoices coming out this year, but year-to-date, we are running a $43,000 surplus revenue over expenses. Liquid cash in our A&B checking account as of last week, just under $82,000, and this is what we use every month to pay our bills, payrolls, et cetera. And over in Pliget, we still have $597,000 for our big expenses, which will be coming at the end of this year, next year, as we get into big projects.
Okay. Thank you. I'll follow up later with the Water Street Bridge. It's on Chad's list. So, okay. Any questions? Comments? Deborah's not here as far as payments received, but John, can you report how we're doing?
I do not actually have that data handy. In terms of processing, though, we're in the beginning of the lien notice. Final billing has gone out. Those are due by the end of July.
Right.
There was approximately 300 that went out. So it was a relatively large amount, almost 15% of all counts. But otherwise, my understanding in speaking with Deborah is that we're on track from previous years.
Okay. Okay, and since Adam's not here, any information on liens?
So no additional liens have been filed from the 2025 cycle. I want to say that the most recent release happened prior to the June meeting, so that's been reported.
Okay. All right. Questions? Thank you. Okay, it's the Chad Claybaugh Show. Updates. Go ahead, Chad.
It looks worse than it is. I think we can burn through most of this. Aside from the East Lincoln project, most of this stuff we're going to be able to go through pretty quickly here. So the first item is Stevens Run, Water Street Bridge. I will be asking council for their authorization tonight to bid that project. That's that sidewalk over the side of the bridge. Again, doesn't have a whole lot of relation to the Stormwater Authority. You guys aren't funding that project as a council project. It's just over the waterway, so I give you guys updates. But we are still waiting on structural adequacy yet from PennDOT, so as soon as we get that approval from PennDOT, we pretty much have all of the plans and specs ready to go, ready to bid the project, so I'll be getting council's authorization tonight to bid it. The reality is, until we go through the bidding process, get a contract in place, go through the shop drawing, and steel beams are still a couple of months delay. We need a new steel beam for this. It will probably be into the winter months. And if that's the case, it's a lot of concrete work, but you can't just blanket a bridge. You got to cover it on both. You got to tent it, which is really expensive. So we'll probably just wait till spring. It hasn't been a major issue as far as I understand for the public works. They got it blocked off. The sidewalks closed. It'll just remain closed through the winter.
Okay.
So that's the update there.
All right. Before you go on to the next one, Charles, you mentioned this bridge in the budget. We're not paying for it. Okay, just to be clear.
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay, go ahead. Chad, go ahead.
Second item is a GMA sewer interceptor project. That's pretty much done, substantially complete. There was one thing with a curb ramp that they're still going to be fixing, but aside from that, they're pretty much done with that project. The part for us is absolutely done. That's the Bream Alley channel wall. So that project's done. Robbie and I both had a chance to take a look at it. We're satisfied with everything. They did file the application for payment. The contractor billed GMA. GMA paid the contractor. We refund GMA for our 2/3 of the 3/3 of the cost, as you can remember from our MOU. So that should get pulled. I mean, that was one last, it's done. Payments are made. Future agendas, that'll be pulled off your agenda unless you guys have any questions about it.
I do have a question about it. It's for Robbie. Robbie, can we get somebody in there? And there's all sorts of stuff that's in there in the channel where it's on the inside curve? Okay.
It's on our list to do.
Okay, all right. Because I was out there in that heavy rain, and that stuff didn't move. I mean, whatever it is, it's solidly there. So,
I like your choice of words, stuff.
stuff, yeah, I don't want to. Okay, thanks.
So the next one is East Lincoln, and I'm going to pass out a document here. If you could take one of those, Charles, and pass them down, please. So this is just a hard copy of what I emailed last week to you. That way you can take it home and look at it if you'd like to. The first page there is just a cost estimate, and then the other 7 pages, the 11 by 17s, are the plan set. This is a draft. It's not sealed, as you can tell, by the engineer just yet. So we'll be finalizing that process over the next couple of weeks and then trying to get this thing out to bid. A couple of things. So first of all, cost estimate wise, we're looking at $475,000 to $500,000. That's about a $100,000 increase from what we originally estimated when we were doing our capital improvement plans years ago. This is about a $100,000 increase. Some of that's just from inflation estimates. Some of it is because it got a little bit more complicated than what we anticipated. I did give you guys a couple of updates on this in a few months ago. But one of the items, for instance, is a $27,000 line item for curb replacement. A lot of this storm drain, we just don't think at this point that we can replace it because the pipe got so big and save the existing curb. The curb's going to fall in. We're going to have to replace some curbs. So we did throw a line item in there for curb replacement. That's probably the biggest line item out of although then aside from that, there's $5,000 here, $5,000 there, and all of the items add up to close to a $100,000 increase from what we originally estimated. So I did want to give you an update on that. The plan is for this project is, and we're going to get into this a little bit later as well with your SIP updates, but the plan is to fund this with Penvest funds. So we did have a bit of an update on that last month. I wanted to get into the weeds a little bit more with that today because that's going to partially drive the schedule here. So Tonight, so there's two things. You guys fund this project, Stormwater Authority funds the project, the council owns the pipes. So I still need to get the council's authorization. It's on their agenda tonight to authorize me to advertise for bids. It's a little early for that authorization. I just want to be ready for it. The reason why I say it's early is because there's still a couple of things that need to fall in place. We need a permit from DEP. We need a permit from PennDOT. They've both been submitted. We're waiting for those two agencies to issue our permits. Once we get those permits, then we can apply to PennVest for the funding for this thing. If you have questions about PennVest funding, I'll defer that to Charles or Mike. And we can't apply for that until we get that permit in hand. They are requiring now permits in hand, not just permits applied for. The other thing is we're last in the line of 3 utilities here. Columbia Gas is pretty much finishing up their work in that area. I understand Gettysburg Municipal Authority has bid the project, awarded to EK Services, and they're going through their shop drawing process, so they're getting geared up to get started for their water line replacement soon. They got a couple months worth of work to do before then we can get in. So we can't go in there anyways now until Gettysburg Municipal Authority is done. So right now we're looking to try to have this thing opened prior to your meeting in September, since you meet every 2 months. That's why I'm trying to get authorization tonight to advertise this, since I know the next chance for us to award isn't going to be till September. So if we can save a month, I'd like to get it awarded or 2 months, I'd like to get it awarded in September. If all these things don't fall in place, that is our permits and the PennVest funding, and we're not ready to go by September, it could end up having to get kicked to your November meeting. So worst case scenario is we award in November. Either way, we were anticipating this project was going to be a fall/winter project, and that we weren't going to be able to do any of the paving, the finish work, the concrete work, those kind of things until spring of next year anyways. So one other kind of good news is Robbie and I met with Columbia Gas and GMA, as we do quarterly, and to go over all of our projects. And Columbia Gas was generous in agreeing to pay for all of the curb and sidewalk work on East Lincoln. So whenever I say that there's $27,000 worth of curb that we have estimated in here, that's in addition to what Columbia Gas has agreed to. They were generous in what they've agreed to do out of this project. So what's left from that, then spring of next year, we'll still have to do all of the finished paving, but the paving essentially will get divided by 3 entities. Then it'll be us, Gettysburg Municipal Authority, and the borough, because Columbia Gas will have done more than their share by doing all of the concrete work, essentially. So that is the project in a nutshell. I mean, you have a copy of the plans. I'm happy to answer any questions there. But
Actually, we have 2.
Sure.
You said the council owns the pipes?
Yes, the Stormwater Authority doesn't own any stormwater facilities.
Okay. And that's all the stormwater pipes are owned by the council?
Yes, including the ones in the state highway, which part of this project is in the state highway.
So, I'm just trying to understand. So we've been delegated the responsibility for maintaining them, or what?
Funding the construction is, I'm going to say, is one of the primary responsibilities, yeah, and funding the maintenance of them. So yeah, the Stormwater Authority's primary role here is funding the project.
Okay, but it's, council owns the pipes, though.
Right.
That is accurate, yeah.
They own everything.
Okay. The other one was, this is PennVest. I don't know how those grants work. Is that like a lump sum not to exceed, or?
It's not a grant, it's a loan.
A loan?
A very low interest rate. I forget off the top of my head what it is.
It's around 2%.
2%, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be back to us to discuss the details of that, right?
Correct.
All right, so right now, we're looking for the borough to say yes to this, right, tonight?
Mm-hmm. It just for us to authorize the advertising of the construction bidding. And then there'll be another opportunity once we get bids to award to the apparent lowest bidder.
Right.
Okay. if you have to adjust the cost here, you have to go back to Penvest and explain all that? Or?
Yeah, there's a process with them. No project, I mean, I shouldn't say no project. Every once in a while, we're lucky to have a project with 0 change orders.
There's always something.
There's not very many of them that's the case. Most of them have something that get adjusted. So yes, there'll be several processes with Penvest. The first one is they have a pretty standard procedure. You got to follow their procedures. The first one is we give them an estimate. We say we have our plans, we have an estimate, we're going to go out to bid. Then you give them the bids, and then they adjust how much money they're going to give to you once we have actual bids. And then there can be another adjustment during construction if there has to be a change order. So yeah, there will be a process for that.
This is all leading up to my real question. 5% contingency sounds low.
At this point, we usually go down to 5. We start at 20 whenever we do the capital improvement planning. We go down to 10 whenever we're in a design phase. Then we go down to 5 when we're in the bidding phase. So I would call us at the bidding phase right now. And then, even then, we still don't drop it past 5 until we're done with construction. But we only go down to 5 because we are pretty clean with our design at this point.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you could assume, I guess, if you wanted to pick the number for contingency, right? So 5% is 23,000, 10% would be 46,000.
Right.
Yeah, it's just that, when you're moving earthworks and things like that, and you're running the rock and all kinds, stories. Okay, I just threw that as for consideration.
Sure.
Seems low.
Any other questions on this particular item? Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Chad, you're still on.
Screensaver came on. There we go. So Gettysburg Station Stormwater Management Plan. So before you leave tonight, I'm not going to belabor our meeting right now, but before you leave tonight, I did print some documents that I'm going to give you all to take home with you, along with some homework. So they did resubmit last Monday. John and I accepted the submittal. We told them we could get them on their planning commission, which is next Monday, but it just wasn't enough time for us to be ready for today's meeting. So we offered that we were going to distribute the materials to you guys. What I did was I took the total submittal. It's the stormwater report is 450 some pages. The plan set's over 40 pages, large size, like this. Yeah. So rather than cutting down a few trees, I extracted out of that packet what I think is pertinent to you guys' review. So before you leave today, I'll give you a hard copy of those items. I only printed 4 large size sets, so one of you I'll have to get to come to my office and get another plan set. I ran out of paper before I was walking out the door. But aside from that, I'm going to distribute the materials here at the end of the meeting, and then you guys can take them home with you, take a look at the new stormwater design. It didn't change a lot from before. We had some concerns. They did make some improvements, but from our first look at it, it doesn't look like it's changed a ton from the stormwater plan before. It's definitely better, but not a complete change. So I'll give you guys a copy of the plan, and you can take it home, and then we anticipate that the developer will be present at your meeting then in September.
Right. So if we have questions, we should email them to you, call you, how do you want to handle it?
That's entirely up to you guys. If you want to email them to me, I could have them all consolidated, or John could do that, one of us. Or if you wanted to bring your questions, your comments to the next meeting, that's fine as well.
So it's up to you when you get the document to read it, and then either bring the questions or email. I mean, that's okay. Charles?
This is a similar question I have when I'm on planning and discussing this project. The prompts that you would give us, take a look at this, consider this, given this is more complicated? I know we've seen this before, but are there anything that you would tell us in advance of the meeting or with this homework you're giving us?
I can certainly do that. I can certainly shoot an email out to the Stormwater Authority. We'll be completing our review. I do have Adam's my stormwater guru. He's going to be looking at it within the next couple of weeks here. Once he completes his review, he goes over everything with me before we send the letter out. So at that time, I can kind of highlight a couple of things to point out to you guys.
I mean, that's been helpful in planning for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, why not? That'd be great.
And obviously, you'll get a copy of my letter that'll come out, so you'll have that at least a month before your meeting in September.
Right.
You'll have my letter with all of the comments, and then I'll whenever I send the letter out, I'll point out a couple of the comments saying, hey, look at this one, look at this one, look at this one, otherwise we're good to go, something like that.
Just a question, the Planning Commission, what are they going to receive?
They received, so what I'm going to be giving you guys is 4 sheets of the 40-sheet plan set.
Okay.
They received the exact same plan set. So the plan set includes post-construction stormwater management plans and profiles and landscaping plans and subdivision plans and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to give you 2 of the copies of the grading and stormwater plans and 2 sheets of the landscaping plans, which relates to the stormwater management, along with some of the profiles of the pipes and those kind of things. So they've received a very similar plan set.
Okay.
The Conservation District has also received a very similar plan set. And that's one other thing I wanted to mention is, I think they're still trying to work that out with the county right now, but they did submit originally for an NPDES permit. Their resubmittal expired, so the County Conservation District pulled the plan, so they had to resubmit and start from scratch. So I think they're in the process of working that out with the county right now, but
Okay.
the only reason I bring that up, the Conservation District still does their own review. Similar plan sets. There's post-construction stormwater management plans and there's E&S plans that are in this set that are exactly the same plans that they've received, and they do their review. That process, if they're starting from scratch, is a 6-month process. Now, since they've seen it before, maybe it's not still 6 months.
I was just going to ask you,
But
it's still...
maybe if the County Conservation District is drawing a hard line because it expired and they have to start over from scratch, maybe it's a new 6 months. So I don't know. I don't get to speak for the Conservation District, but I'm just giving you a heads up that if that's the case, we could still be talking about this at the turn of the new year.
Right, it could be in January, that
Yeah.
we're still discussing it. Okay, thank you. Any questions on, we'll have lots of questions once we look at this set. Okay, Charles, the famous punctured stormwater pipe.
Famous Washington Street project. Just for those watching at home, if you remember, we finished a good infrastructure project last year in Washington Street. Multiple facets to that project, stormwater being one of the facets. And just out of coincidence, we discovered that when Met Ed relocated a pole, the auger punctured one of our newly installed stormwater pipes. In trying to get Met Ed to remediate that challenge, Met Ed essentially said, not it. They're not interested in working with us. So at the direction of both this board and the Borough Council, we are looking at all avenues possible to compel Met Ed to remediate the project. And we have had several conferences with our litigation attorneys. They are comfortable moving forward with documentation that we have in place to prove our case. That is about all I can say publicly at this point. We've all discussed this in executive session, so you may know more than we can say publicly. But nonetheless, I am confident we will not be paying for the remediation on our own.
Good. Good, thank you for that update. There'll be more to come, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
All right, Stevens Run Channel Wall, Carlisle to Gillen. Chad.
So that's another one that the application, the DEP application is into DEP. We're waiting on their response. And the only other thing really I have from them is, or on that project, is also we have an application in for public funding. And this is one of those things where Penvest would not fund this project. So we can't get a loan to fund it.
Right.
Each one of these channel walls is at least $500,000. The application that we submitted for this is close to $500,000. Actually, I think it's a little bit more. It's maybe like 600,000. So we do have, and it's multiple applications still out right now, hoping for some construction funding. But we will be looking to either get grants to fund these channel wall replacements, but we would not be looking for Penvest funds, or they would have to come out of the Stormwater Authority's own funds,
Right.
your general funds. We won't be able to use Penvest funding for it. So once we get the permit, essentially from DEP, we'll be waiting on funding to be able to go to the next step to bid the project. The other thing that we have made a little bit of progress with is some meetings with the property owners. The one property owner along there did sign off saying that they're okay with moving forward with the project. The other property owner wants more information. So stay tuned for more on that. We are still meeting with the property owners to try to negotiate those right-of-ways that we need to get in there.
So I guess my question is, since some of us were at an initial meeting, you guys are carrying the ball on that?
Yes.
Okay. And so if you need me there again or think I would be helpful, let me know.
Sure.
If I'm available, I'll go. But let's keep that ball rolling because I think it's, how do I put this? It's pretty important, especially with these walls, and they are number one on our failure list, to make sure the owners understand that they own to the middle of the stream. And what we're doing is we are alleviating a huge problem for them if, God forbid, those walls ever collapse, because it will be a mess and they will be in the middle of it. So keep working on it.
Keep working on it, yeah, and you're right, Mike, that is kind of one of the things that we can continue to work on is the ownership. We can't do a whole lot about waiting for our DEP permit,
Right.
but, or the funding, the grant funding, we did all we can with that at this point, but we can still work on that ownership component in the meantime while we're waiting on those other items.
And if we have to meet with their representatives, whether it be a lawyer or family members or whatever, I mean, we can do that.
You got it.
Okay, thank you.
Mark?
Yep.
Last meeting, there was a concern about the section of wall behind Gettysburg Glass. Is there any update on that situation?
Same concern.
Same concern.
Same concern. Not really a whole lot of update. We're obligated to do an inspection every 6 months, so the next inspection will be coming up soon. I think that last time I gave you that update was at least 2 meetings ago, so that might have been 4 months ago. So we're probably getting another inspection coming up here within the next month or two.
Good.
So I'll give you an update at that point, but that's still, Bream was the high priority.
Right.
Thank God we got that done before it fell in, because that kept me up at night.
Yeah.
The next one is Carlisle Gilliland. The piece right beside that where Coon Alley is fell in a few years ago. So it's,
Right.
I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know exactly when that wall is going to fall in, but that one's in a similar situation. That one's the next one. Then it's the one behind the Gettysburg Glass and upholstery place. So,
Okay.
and again, it really comes down to, I think what's going to control the schedule here, if I had to guess, is funding.
It's always funding. Okay. Any other questions? Did we talk about the construction grant application?
Yeah, I think we kind of pretty much already talked about that on him.
Right, I think so. West Confederate Avenue, right-of-way issue, et cetera.
West Confederate Avenue.
That's the folks up top that are having some difficulty with their stormwater going down the hill?
Yes, 52
red
West
patch.
Confederate, yes, 52, okay. Sorry about that. I
Yeah,
had too many different projects in my head.
A brain freeze, yeah.
Okay, so the issue there is they did work at the property that was different from what their stormwater management plan showed. So we stopped them and said, you got to get your stormwater plan up to speed. Well, their revised stormwater plan, the solution was to get a right-of-way across a neighbor's lot. Before they had a chance to finish getting that right-of-way, the neighbor passed away, and now they're stuck in between a rock and a hard place trying to get that easement. I did instruct to them, they said that they're not going to be doing that at this point, and I said, well, you need to get a revised plan then. If that's the case, you got to have your engineer revise a plan. And they said they don't want to do that. So we are at a stalemate right now with that property owner, and I'm not sure what the next step is with the project.
Well, can I ask, are they still allowed to work on that property? Is the stopped work order still in effect?
That's a question for John or Deborah.
No, well, yeah, they're not allowed to occupy it or use it unless it's approved for abatement issues. So, no, they're not allowed to be.
So they can't work on the property or occupy it?
No.
Okay.
So I would say, and
Until they meet our specifications.
And John, does that include, because one of the things that I've noticed there was that they have somebody come in and do their yard, mow their yard. Do we want them to continue to do that?
Well, yes, because it's a property maintenance code violation.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? If you see somebody there just cleaning up the yard, that's what it is, but.
Sure.
That's different than a UNO.
That just makes sense. I mean.
Sure.
You don't want a jungle there, but at the same time, they shouldn't be living there or working on the property. Maintenance is another thing. Okay.
Are we monitoring that?
That's one that we've been in contact with the property owner for some time. They're eager to get an occupancy permit for the property, but there's some disconnect that's happening that they're unable to comply.
Okay, so are we
Refuse.
monitoring the fact that they're not doing anything to make sure that they're not doing anything?
Well, with regards to the property itself, just making sure general compliance is happening from the exterior. The stop work order itself, I'd have to check if that's with PMCA at all. But basically, the occupancy aspect of it, that would be something where you'd have a UCC code violation. But otherwise, as it relates to the stormwater activities, we're just looking exterior to see if there's any substantial changes and trying to get them to either make changes to what they have already had submitted or making changes to come into compliance.
I guess my question is frankly, basically put, is Pete riding his bike up there to check it out?
So for that one in particular, I know I go by it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody once in a while is going by this.
Yes, and that's Deborah goes out to review the active projects, and that's this. We have, I believe, another one on Southwest Confederate as well. So we're reviewing those projects on a, if not, well, we try to do it weekly.
Oh, okay.
Try to. But with sometimes it's less.
Yeah, the excess stormwater is coming off the hill, may be causing damage to the property down below. Are you looking at that, or is that between whoever ends up entering a house and their next door neighbor, or does the stormwater authority get involved in some fashion?
Well, so it would be considered a trespass onto that property owner. They would have to, it's their private property, they would have to do something to initiate a claim. The specifics of that would be more of Adam's purview as a solicitor, but generally, they're going to have to work with the property owner to mitigate that problem. The impact, if they're able to claim damages, that's something where you'd go to court to be able to get those in monetary form, so.
Any other questions on this?
Yeah, I honestly don't know what the next step is, because I think holding the UNO is kind of the enforcement tool here to be able to get compliance, but what we are really after, what we care about is fixing the stormwater issue.
Right.
Right? We don't care about the fact that they can't live in the house, right? That's just an enforcement tool. So right now, the property owner is refusing to fix the stormwater issue. So how long do we let it go until we step in and do something about it? Like John said, that would have to go to Adam before we determine if this is going, if we're going to be taking matter into our own hands here. But I really don't know. We're at a stalemate right now.
Well, I think the ball's in their court. It's not in our court.
Yeah, the ball's in our court so long as we're okay with this, what we're considering a stormwater violation to go perpetually like this. At what point do we step in on behalf of the neighbor? You know, unless if the neighbor files a formal complaint, like John said, then it'll force our hand to step in.
Right.
Aside from that, do we proactively step in? I don't know the answer to that.
And they file a complaint to whom? Us?
I think I would advise the neighbor to get an attorney, to talk to their attorney to determine how to solve the problem. And then we're going to be brought in to this because obviously we have specified some various remediation for this. And so I think it's a matter of the attorneys getting together and then we're going to be brought in, Pat. I'm pretty sure.
One correction, Mike, so this is a private matter. We don't specify the remediation. Their engineer does.
No, you're right to clarify.
I want to make sure that.
I misspoke.
Yeah. We've just we said that if you fix it this way, we're okay with that.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And whatever that way is during the construction process.
But we don't come up with the solution. That has to be the applicant's engineer that comes up with it.
So I had to throw another question. So if I understand, it's the enforcement is just that we will not issue the permit.
Yeah, they can't move into the house.
There's nothing else possible other than.
I think the stormwater ordinance does have a list of violation steps, including fines.
Right.
There are other things you could do. Right now, we haven't gone to that level.
Just when you said like the two attorneys, the property owners' attorneys would talk to each other. What if they came to stormwater and said, well, what were you doing to make sure that this wasn't going to impact my property?
I don't think we should get into the what-ifs, actually, because it could be a number of things that they could come up with. But Chad's right. We specified certain things during construction, and they didn't fulfill them. It's caused a problem.
They did. They specified things for the first original permit. They did something different.
Right.
We called them out on it.
Right.
That's what we did, right? So to answer your question, Charles, is we said, wait, you didn't build what you promised to build, and you're going to have to fix that. So then they gave a revised plan, and the revised plan requires an easement across the neighbor's property. And at this point, they can't get that easement. So it's again, what they promised to do, they haven't fulfilled that promise yet.
That's right. So that's why I say the ball's still in their court to fulfill what they said they were going to fulfill to rectify the situation.
Right.
Okay. Tax mapping flyover, one of my favorite subjects. John, you have anything?
The last LiDAR flyover occurred in 2017, so they do not have any, the county does not have any plans to do a new run.
Really?
For LiDAR. Now, general aerial imaging was updated late last month, so that data is becoming available, and we'd possibly, to be able to understand what's going on with new construction, there's ways you can utilize that data to get an idea of new impervious surface. It's called a raster analysis, but In terms of new data for the borough that we're in the process of working with the county, but nothing more to report this time.
So that analysis is an overlay on what they...
No, that would be something that the Stormwater Authority would have to have done, because they don't have the real technical analysis associated with it. It's just more of a tax map.
Okay, so given the data that they have, can that be manipulated in such a way to show the impervious surfaces?
There are ways to do it, yes.
So are you saying it's going to cost us money?
Most likely, yes.
Do you know how much that is?
I do not. That would be something.
Why don't you find from our county friends, find out, because at one time, we did this way back when, right? I mean, that's how it was before our time, but something was done.
Yeah.
So C.S. Davidson did the raster analysis when we originally did this. It was with Hillary, who sat in my Gettysburg office. She's gone. We do have another GIS specialist. Her boss is still sitting in our York office. John, I can get him in touch with you if you want.
Yeah, I mean, we can set up
together and work on this.
What we could do, I mean, it may be practical given the cost. It is a certain amount to go through a formal RFP, but we can begin the process and get back to you.
Yeah, that would be good, and if you could let me know what that is.
Yeah, if the county's willing to do it, obviously that's the way to go, right? That's going to be cheap or free compared to hiring an engineer. From what I can remember, when we originally did this, they weren't willing to do it, which is why C.S. Davidson got involved and we did it at the time. But
so the county really has never done the analysis, the Rextra analysis. We've always sent it out using their most recent data.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Correct. You got to tell this data which colors are pervious and which colors are impervious. So somebody like me, it's colorblind, would never be able to do this, but right. But all of the greens and browns of those are impervious or pervious areas, and all of the whites and grays and blacks are impervious. So you got to tell this mapping which one, and then you assign it to the parcel mapping. You overlay the parcel mapping, and then it spits it all out on a big spreadsheet.
They're just one overlay over another.
Yep, and then you got to go through that mapping and start checking things, because it doesn't get it all right. You know, it's not. You know, AI is only as good as the information that you plug into it. So then you got to go back, you got to go down through 2,000 properties and kind of start steering it in the right direction. So it takes a minute to get that done.
I got you. Yeah. Okay. So if you could give us an idea of what that would cost, that'd be good. Thank you. Okay. CIP update.
I'll kick this off.
Okay.
Give Chad a break. Staff has been meeting for actually I think a couple months now, on the next iteration of the capital improvement plan for not just the authority, but also for the borough. And so in front of you on the screen is an example of what this will look like when staff finalizes it and rolls it out. So where we are in this process is staff meaning planning director, myself, borough engineer, and public works have gotten into a room and started spitballing ideas and have identified a list of projects that should be tackled in the next 5 years. Some of those are standalone stormwater projects, others are standalone borough projects, others are a mixture of projects where you would have multiple funding streams shared between the borough, Stormwater Authority, Columbia Gas, GMA, for example. So when you look at this ultimately later this fall, you're going to see a fairly short list of standalone stormwater projects. And so in the screen in front of you, these are specific stormwater projects. So the Chambersburg Street Storm Sewer Rebuild, along with West Zurfing Alley, has been identified as a must. So part of our process here is once we put the long list of topics together, we will be ranking them based on various criteria that you see listed here. And they'll be assigned a numeric value, which comes up to a percentage of importance. The higher the percentage, the more dire the project is to get done.
Well, 100%, pretty dire.
So, for example, we're not even planning on ranking this one because we know that the street's literally getting ready to cave in.
Right.
It's just a matter of which truck makes it cave in at this point. That's how bad it is, and we're not overstating that for the public listening at home.
No.
So this is a blue one for Stevens Run channel walls. There'll be phases to this one. So obviously, some time ago, the engineer presented, I don't remember how many, Chad, off the top of my head, but there were many segments of the wall, some more dire than others. So we will be scoring these as we move deeper into this process. So we don't see 100% in this one because there are some areas, some segments that are more important, more dire than others. And we'll talk about inserting the specific segment names as we move in through the process. SCAP storm sewer project is a must, as is the Lincoln Avenue storm drain, which was just talked about a couple minutes ago. Those are the only stormwater specific projects we have identified. Many of the others are over here in Department 439, which is roads and alleys. So street preservation has nothing to do with stormwater per se. Long Lane will have a stormwater component to it. Again, this has been deemed a must-do, and this has been on the work plan for the last 5 years as well, so we're just continuing this. So this is an example where there'll be a nexus for a funding between the borough and the Stormwater Authority. And perhaps, depending on what Columbia Gas is going to be doing in Colt Park, because they're going to be very active in Colt Park over the next 5 years, they may be part of a funding stream for some of these as well. I don't want to belabor, there's a lot of these. So East Railroad is a must. Highland and Johns north of Queen, this is another big stormwater component, as is Highland Johns south of Queen Street, as is 4th Street. Maybe not so much alley work. Safe Streets for All, not so much a stormwater project, but nonetheless very important to the borough. Gateway Connectivity Project, I'll end with this. This is going to show up on the next 5-year SIP. It had been in our last 5-year SIP, as we've been now currently for the last couple of months, better part of a year now, under design and engineering. This is the Baltimore Street project. And I will announce for the first time publicly that we just applied this past year for our 6th round of build funding, which would be the construction funding for this very important multifaceted project. And the borough was not awarded this grant for the 6th time in a row. So that's very frustrating. We can talk about the postmortem on that as we get into the debrief with the Department of Transportation in August, but we need to be sober-minded about the fact that this nearly $20 million project still has an elusive funding stream to it, but it's vitally important to not just community economic development, but for ADA compliance, for stormwater issues, potable water issues, the whole 9 yards. This project touches multiple utilities, and we still can't figure out how to get it done.
And
but we
old
continue.
utilities.
And old utilities.
These are ancient utilities.
Yep. So that is where we are with the SIP. We are currently meeting every other week to advance these things, so we're getting pretty deep into the development of the next 5-year SIP.
What does the Safe Streets for All entail? What does that mean?
I'll leave that to the engineer.
So that's primarily transportation related, not utility related. So that's sidewalks, that's your roads, your intersections. So whenever they say for all, that means pedestrians and motorists and bicyclists. it's just mainly a transportation-related thing. So it doesn't really get into the storm drain component too much. Does that answer your question? Mm-hmm. And it's an entire borough-wide study. It can't be just a specific project. It has to look at the entire borough. So yeah, I think the only other thing I would add to Charles's presentation is he mentioned there are 5 stormwater-related pipe projects. That's East Lincoln, Queen John's, Chambersburg, Scap, and Long. And then we have 4 channel wall projects. Like he said, there was a dozen or so sections that we looked at. We've narrowed it down to the next 4 big items that we know about. It's the Carlisle Gilliland we just talked about, the east water behind Gettysburg Glass, the other side of Bream Alley, the Togus Wall we call it, and then Middle Street, right? Those are the 4 next ones. So just to get through those 9 projects, assuming we're going to be using Penvest funding for a lot of the storm drain projects, and we're going to hope that we get a grant, at least one maybe, for some channel walls, just to get through those 9 projects, and the next 5-year capital improvement plan is kind of ambitious. That being said, if you have anything else, any major other concerns, these are the ones that we know about. Like Charles is not underestimating this thing. There was literally a truck that fell in the Scap pipe. Chambersburg Street, we fill it in with concrete every once in a while whenever it collapses. These are pipes that have to be done, right? So it's going to be hard at this point for somebody to bring something to my attention that's going to be more important than one of those projects. But right. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I learn something new about this borough every year, right? These are pipes that we didn't know about. So if there's something else or some other project, that's kind of part of your role, is to bring it to our attention and say, hey, what about this project? Should this get moved up on our to-do list? And we can always throw it in there. Again, I'm not trying to scare you away that we're not going to listen to any other ones, but we do know, we've known about these for a while. It's just a matter of funding to get to them. So.
My guess is, along with Baltimore Street, you're talking $50 million worth of projects. That includes all the channel walls.
If Elon wanted to cut us a $100 million check tomorrow, we could spend it in a day. There's that much in the borough.
Yeah.
And I'm not...
The infrastructure.
Not an exaggeration.
We have big things to pay for.
I'm only owe $50 million.
Yeah, and we didn't even include in that, like he said, we're hoping that Baltimore Street gets funded because there's a significant storm drain issue at the bottom of that street.
Right.
That we're trying to hopefully get grant money to fix. That's not even one of those 5 storm drain projects I'm talking about. That's in addition to.
Okay, any questions, comments about the SIP? All right, thank you. Thanks for the update. No new business that I know of. Public comment? No public? No comment. Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah. He's busy over there.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Okay. Any other items to come before the board? Not hearing any. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay, thank you very much. See you in a couple months. Thank you.
Meeting for the Borough of Gettysburg, Monday, June 13th, 2026. I would like everybody please to join me in a moment of silence and the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Announcements. An executive session was conducted by the Borough Council of the Borough of Gettysburg immediately following the adjournment of its work session meeting held on June 22nd, 2026, consistent with Section 708A1 and Section 708A4 and Section 708A5 of the Sunshine Act. An executive session of the Borough Council will be conducted immediately following the adjournment of this evening's monthly general business meeting consistent with Section 708A1, Section 708A2, Section 708A4, and Section 708A5 of the Sunshine Act for the following purposes. 1, to provide updated information and to discuss matters involving the employment or appointment of current or prospective borough employees. 2, to provide updated information and to discuss strategy in connection with the negotiation of the new collective bargaining agreements with the Teamsters Union Local 776 for both the borough's uniformed police officers, employees, and its non-uniformed, non-professional employees. 3, to provide updated information and to discuss strategy in connection with a complaint filed with the PHRC and EEOC by a former borough employee. And 4, to provide information and discuss strategy regarding potential claim against Met-Ed for damage caused to the borough's stormwater facilities in connection with the relocation of a utility pole on North Washington Street. And 5, to review and discuss matters of borough business which, if conducted in public, could lead to the disclosure of information or confidentiality protected by law. Is there a motion to approve the July 13th, 2026 agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and several seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is adopted. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Borough Council meetings of June 8th, 2026, public hearing, CDBG minutes, and council work session minutes of June 22nd, 2026 as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion, additions, omissions, or corrections? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Tonight we have two special presentations. I'm very happy to welcome several faces back into the room. They come see us annually and help us understand many of the machinations of our government. So first I'd like to welcome Jennifer Kruger-Keevey, who is here from Mayor Duzel, which is our auditing firm. She's going to give us the results of our 2025 audit. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So very similar presentation to the previous year. This is meant to be a very high-level overview of the borough's 2025 audit. So the first slide talks about, and this is issued in a letter called Communication to those Charged with Governance. So in accordance with our auditing standards, we're required to have these communications with the board, with the council every year. And we talk about, within that letter, our responsibility in accordance with our auditing standards is to opine on the borough's financial statements, which is the DCD report. But the DCD report is still the responsibility of management and council. There were no significant changes to your accounting policies. So the policies and procedures are relatively similar to 2024. We do not have any sensitive accounting estimates to bring to your attention. There were no disclosures included within the DCD report, which is consistent with the DCD reporting instructions. We did not have any difficulties in performing our audit procedures. We were able to do everything in order to issue our final report. Now, in accordance with when we're performing our tests and procedures, we did propose some adjustments, which were reviewed and corrected by management. The dollar amount were what we call as material. So we did have to report that as a material weakness, but the final report includes those adjustments. And they were similar to prior year, just changes to the do froms and transfer. So it was internal activity. For DCD report instructions, we just had to classify it differently. We did not have any disagreements with management in performing our procedures. We did receive a management representation letter, very consistent representations to previous year, and that was for us to issue that final report to DCD directly to the state. We're not aware of any consultations with other independent auditors or accountants, and any discussions prior to retention on normal course of a professional relationship and not conditional upon us being maintained as your auditors. And we did issue what's called a separate management letter, which I do have a slide just providing that information. So the next slide, the results of our audit. So there is an unmodified opinion, so that is the best opinion that you can receive. So in our opinion, when we're reviewing and auditing the DCED report, we stated that they were materially accurate in accordance with those DCED reporting instructions. So it's the best opinion you can receive under the regulatory basis of accounting and modified cash basis of accounting. So cash in, cash out, that's how the revenue and the expenses are reported. It's modified only because there's some liability. So if you have developers escrow, that's included on there, as well as fair value of investments. The next slide is a summary of current year information as well as the past 2 years. So this includes all of the borough's funds. So this not only includes general fund, but your debt service and any special revenue funds and your capital improvement fund as well. So just to provide some highlights of significant changes from prior year to current year. Now it does look like the revenue decreased from 2024. A majority of that are the transfers in and out. So it was just less transfers that took place between your funds during the year. And that decrease in the transfers in was offset by some increases in revenue. So you had the millage rate increase of 9% during the year. There was additional grants and contributions that was received by the borough within 2025 that included CDBG funding as well as recycling grant and the Stormwater Authority contributions. Parking also increased due to the meter rate increases that took place. I think there was an average of 21% increase on the meter rate. And then on the expense side, a decrease of about $600,000. Same thing as the change in the decrease in the transfers out during the year, and that was offset by an increase in public works expense. So there was large construction for the Gettysburg Interloop project that took place in 2025. And the principal payments that were paid on the borough's debt was $576,000, and that was made in accordance with your maturity schedules, and those were made timely. And your outstanding balance on your long-term debt is 2.4 at the end of the year. So that within that DCD report, there's a schedule that summarizes all of your debt. Bringing your change in your fund balance, the net loss of $392,000. However, majority of that is that capital project fund because there was more projects taking place. But you did have a net income on your general fund, which is included on this next slide. So still focus on the total governmental funds. So that's all the funds, not just your general fund. So looking at those accumulated reserves, what we call fund balance. At the end of 2025, you had total fund balance of 7.3. However, because that includes all of the funds, there are a lot of funds that are technically restricted and set aside for specific purposes. So out of that 7.3, only 29% is available for spending, and that is your general fund balance. In your general fund, the net change in your fund balance was an increase of $122,000. And on the right, there's a pie chart of your breakdown of your expenditures for all of your governmental funds. The largest would be 17% is the transfers out. So that's just that interfund activity going on in 2025. 21% is public safety, and 30% is public works. So I already talked about those significant capital projects that took place. And then lastly, the management letter. So that was a separate issued letter to the board and to management. I already mentioned because we had to propose that dollar value adjustment, which was reviewed and approved by management. That's reported as a material weakness. But then we also had best practice recommendations to review and to perform reconciliation of those due froms and transfers on a periodic basis. For reviewing bank reconciliations, those are done. So bank reconciliations are being reviewed. Just best practice recommendation to put an initial on there, verifying that they're reviewed. And a new best practice recommendation is on artificial intelligence. So every year we look more and more into IT. So we're recommending to all of our government clients to consider adopting a formal AI policy that will help your employees understand the types of AI tools that can be used and for what purpose. And that is all that I had. Did anybody have any questions over the audit or anything I covered?
Any questions? No, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
We have a second presentation this evening. I'd like to welcome to the podium there Warren Bladen, the Director of Adams County Emergency Services, and Dave Sanders, the Emergency Management Coordinator for the borough. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here this evening. I promise I will be brief. I think your police chief has learned already how long-winded I can be, so he's urging me to be brief this evening. Not a lot of information to convey tonight. I'd like to start off by just running down what's going on at the Department of Emergency Services, so you have an understanding of what's going on out on Greenemeyer Lane. The 911 center, that's most of our activity there. We're about 90% staffed. We only have 2 open positions, and that's a great position to be in, especially when you look across the Commonwealth. We have counties close to us that are less than 50% staffed. Actually, Franklin County has brought in contract telecommunicators. I'm not quite sure how that works, but that's what they're currently doing. So they're facing a challenge just to the west of us. But otherwise, in the 911 center, we're doing well. No major projects. Typically, I stand up here and tell you about the project, the new CAD system, the new phone system, or whatever is happening. We don't have any of that going on right now. It's kind of a rest year. We kind of catch our breath and just relax for a little bit, because we have some other things in emergency management to take care of that I'll talk about in a little bit. Hazardous materials response. Once again, I report that we don't have a hazmat team in the county. We really don't have the need. We don't have the call volume that would justify it. So we're going to continue with our practice from last year. We're going to contract that service, and we're going to continue to contract with York County. The county commissioners have signed that agreement. It's been forwarded to York County, and I'm waiting for their commissioners to sign. We've had good luck with York County that they've provided good service. I saw no need for us to change because there was no change in the cost to Adams County. From the emergency management perspective, the biggest thing on our plate, well, there are 2 large projects on our plate. The first one is the hazard mitigation plan. And I've talked about this in the past, but I want to mention it again just to drive home a couple points. Every municipality has to have a hazard mitigation plan. Right? It's expensive to create one. You have an EMC who is doing this part-time. It would be a challenge for your EMC to draft a hazard mitigation plan. I have a staff of 3, and it's too much for us to do on behalf of the county. So we were able to get a grant to hire a consultant, and that's what we did, and they're preparing our hazard mitigation plan. I had hoped it would have been done by February. Unfortunately, their lead planner resigned, and the consulting firm's lead planner resigned, and that put them behind schedule. So it has been completed, it has been submitted to PEMA, and they have approved. They sent it back for one change, and then they approved it. It's now in the desk of someone at the federal level. FEMA's reviewing that. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we get it back from them saying, perfect plan, we're happy, and then that's when I'm going to come back to you. Because I'm going to recommend that the borough adopt the hazard mitigation plan as their own, since you really don't need to spend the money to create your own. You can just piggyback on our plan, and that's acceptable. 5 years ago when we did the plan, everybody joined. So everybody in the county was on, and I hope that's the case this year. So that's what we're working towards, and that's when you'll see me again when I'm asking you to adopt the plan. The other thing we're working on in emergency management, you may have heard about this. There's an event coming up in November. I don't know if anybody knows, Lincoln at Gettysburg. So that's on our radar. That's very, it's drawing a lot of our energy currently as we plan for that. I'm hoping to see over 20,000 people show up to Gettysburg to spend their money. That would be a positive thing. So we're working on that. We're working with the police chief and borough officials, and things are going well with planning in that regard. The last thing I wanted to talk about, I provided 2 handouts here. One is a handbook from PEMA, and it's emergency management for municipal officials. It's everything you wanted to know about emergency management right here. And then the other one is at the federal level FEMA, and it's for elected local officials. So everybody should have a copy of that, and just at your leisure, take a look at that. Any questions, maybe send me an email or whatever.
Thank you, Warren.
I guess the last thing I want to talk about before I turn it over to Dave is the courses that you're required to have. It's interesting because ever since I've been in this position, I've been told by PEMA and federal officials, oh, your local officials have to have these classes. But I can't find the law that requires that. And I've looked and looked, and very frustrated. I'm like, where is that? And when I ask someone, yeah, that's the law. Well, okay, cite it for me, please. Well, I don't know exactly where, but that's the law. Okay. So I'm going to strongly suggest that every elected official take some independent study classes from FEMA. You can do it on their website. It's independent study IS 100, IS 200, IS 700, and IS 800. okay? They're not difficult or challenging at all. Pretty straightforward. If you had those certificates, that would make me feel more comfortable. If we do have federal funds that suddenly become available, they could have a requirement in there that you have those under your belt in order to get that money. So even though I can't stand here right now and cite the law, I think it would be a good idea. And I'm really urging all elected officials to take those classes. It doesn't take much time. So.
I'm sorry, and once again, that was 100, 200, 700, and 800?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
And it's on the EMI, Emergency Management Institute website for FEMA, right down here in Emmitsburg. That's where it's run from. And you can pick up those courses really easy. Dave said some people had questions about they've taken classes, but they're not sure which ones they took.
Yeah, that was me. Years ago, I think it was, where I took a few of the classes, the certificates I believe I downloaded to the laptop. And I guess my question was, does FEMA have a space where they actually keep track of who's taken the classes so we could get back in and see our certificates? I feel like I took the classes and then it just, I downloaded whatever I needed to download, but there wasn't like a warehouse or someplace I could go back to see.
You chose not to hang your certificate on the wall in your living room.
I did not.
Okay.
I think I downloaded it, but I didn't print it out or didn't put it in my living room. Yeah.
You can contact FEMA on that independent study page. There's some contact information.
Okay.
When you took the course, initially you have to sign up on the website and get a student ID number. So basically, you're just going to give them your student ID number, and they will provide you with a transcript.
Oh, okay. That'd be great.
It's pretty easy once you get in touch with them.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, any questions? I'm sorry.
Once they take the class, you don't have to renew it. It's
just a one-time.
One and done.
Okay.
So,
yep. Some of you have taken it, some of you haven't.
Yeah. Okay. That's also good to know. Yeah. Thank you.
Any questions before I turn it over to Dave?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're getting ready to renew our emergency operations plan. Not so much the plan, but the resource manual. So I've been working with Sarah and Charles, and we'll get it updated, and then it'll come back to you guys for the resolution and proclamation to accept it. So that's what I'm working on now.
Great. All right. Any questions for Dave? All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate both you gentlemen coming and speaking with us this evening. Thank you. All right, this takes us to our first public comment section of the evening. I don't see any public other than our good friend from the newspaper. Did you have anything you wanted to? All right. We will go into current and old business. We'll start this evening, as we always do, with planning, zoning, and code enforcement. Mr. Whitmore.
Good evening. Copies of the report were provided electronically. The big takeaway, there were 2 zoning hearing board cases that occurred in June. The one involved a special exception permitting a bed and breakfast and a restaurant use on Carlisle Street, and then the other involving a variance on South Washington Street related to housing that Habitat housing right across from the hospital. Both of those were approved. Otherwise, though, I'm also here for the HARB item, so if there's any specific questions, we have files available.
All right. Any questions before we get into motions?
I hadn't sorted through the whole transcript of that meeting, and I know that parking was not necessarily a decision being made there, but that it was a, was it a decision? The flow through of the McPherson House property and the parking there, where does that get decided, or how does that play out?
There was, with the special exception, one of the conditions for approval is the limited access onto Mummersburg Street. That's something, the totality of what that means is still being, I'd have to go back to the decision with Mr. Teeter to get exactly how we're going to enforce that, but overall, the initial plan had, let me pull it back up, the initial concept plan had a specific parking idea and flow, but nothing that had been reviewed by planning or yet to establish that was actually compliant parking. But that was a condition that was then established by the zoning hearing board after recommendation, most likely from affected parties.
Good. Okay. All right. Would anybody care to start making HARB motions?
Sure. I make a motion to accept the HARB new business recommendation for COA 26-00237, major project, 222 Buford Avenue, Jacob Plank, for the installation of 28 linear feet of aluminum 4-foot tall fencing located on both the side and rear yards of the property.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Next, please, 54 East Middle Street.
I make a motion to accept the HARB new business recommendation for COA 26-00254, major project, 54 East Middle Street, Molly and Steve Wiles, for the installation of 130 linear feet of fencing located in the rear yard to include 38 feet of fence that will be 4-foot tall spruce board to match the existing fence, and 92 feet of fence will be 5-foot tall Wingate board on board.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 162 York.
I'll make a motion to accept the HARB new business recommendation for COA 26-00216, major project, 162 York Street, Anton Hummer, for the replacement of the existing rear yard fence with 227 linear feet of fence that will be 6-foot tall and using wood-only materials, and installation of 14 feet by 14 feet stamped concrete patio.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. East High Street.
I'll make a motion to accept the HARB new business recommendation for COA 26-00261, major project, 26 East High Street, Kevin Byers, for the rear exterior construction to include a 16-foot by 24-foot patio, a masonry fireplace, replace the first floor and second floor porch columns with 6-inch wood columns, replace the second floor porch railing with a code-compliant wood porch railing to match the existing railing style, replace the existing 6-foot tall fence with a wood code compliant fence, replace the existing porch ceilings with a wood and construct a 6-foot and 10 by 10-foot wood utility shed with architectural shingles.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. And lastly, Baltimore Street.
I'll make a motion to accept the HARB new business recommendation for COA 26-00296, major project, 312 Baltimore Street, Ted Hurt, for the reconstruction of the exterior facade of the carriage house to include a white board front facade with brick in between and a 1/1 window without grids, and a wood 2-panel man door with 9-light window with extruded grids.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I don't know what much of that one means, but all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Gable, Parking Department. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we move on, any questions for Mr. Whitmore before we? Sorry. Thank you, sir. Mr. Gable.
I had the same question about that, what that meant. We've learned so many things at Borough Council meetings. Parking, year to date, we're doing okay. In the month of May, collected $163,800 in parking revenue, which is on target, if you can see in the graph at the top here, comparable to where we were year to date last year. Parking ticket violations, a little decrease on where we were this time last year. That's largely due to the fact that we've been operating without a manager in the department, so our full-time staff's been kind of taking over some administrative duties in the department and having not spent as much time out on the street. And then we also had the resignation of one of our full-time parking enforcement officers, but alas, today we hired another full-time employee in the department. Mario has gone from part-time to full-time.
Good.
So he will be joining us within the next couple of days. He's already onboarded because he's been working in a part-time capacity for some time.
That's great.
That's very good. And then the other thing I just wanted to point out, and this is just kind of informational, that the tickets tend to be our largest areas of enforcement are on Baltimore Street, Racehorse Alley, Garage, and Chambersburg Street. So the idea there is make sure you are feeding those meters as you are partaking in activities downtown. And I know it will sadden all of you to learn this is my last parking report. Because we have also hired a full-time parking manager. His name is Joshua Malerney. He will begin his duties with the borough on August 3rd. Mr. Malerney has an Associate's of Arts degree from Asheville Buncombe Technical Community College. He has a Bachelor of Science in Business Management from Mars Hill University, also in North Carolina, and is currently undertaking a master's program from the same university. Mr. Malerney built a long-time career in the parking department in Asheville, North Carolina, and his positions over his tenure there ranged from back when he started, parking services representative. He was a garage operations manager, a business services specialist in that department, as well as financial and operational governance in their parking programs, and concluded his tenure with Asheville as a business services supervisor. So we are looking forward to his very voluminous technical skill and ability, both from a technical point and his administrative ability to lead our very robust parking programs into the future. So we'll welcome him in August.
Great. Any questions about parking?
You mentioned that parking revenue was in line with last year. Do we forecast a desired increase, and are we on pace for that?
Is this referencing our budget discussions to come in the next couple of months?
Are we? Is parking revenue for 2026 money that is spent in 27, or is it money that we are spending now?
Yeah, I understand your question now. It is money that we project from a budget revenue perspective, and we're spending it as we're getting it.
Yeah. And did we project to increase revenue, and are we on pace for that?
We did increase revenue for the 2025 cycle, so you can see how it spiked a little bit off to the right here on this chart for the 2025 year. There were no adjustments in your budget for 2026, so I would expect this number to be on par with where we were in 2025. Is that your question?
Yeah, I was wondering if when you budgeted for 26, if you were forecasting to meet last year's revenue or exceed it.
Yeah, we did.
Thank you.
I have a question. With the increased number of visitors that we're expecting to come to Gettysburg, as we've already seen a lot of people making their way here, is there a plan in place to ensure that there's a smooth transition into the town as far as parking is concerned? Are people being made aware of what we have available and how the app works? Are we advertising? Because I know even with spontaneous events, or even if they're long-term events actually that are planned, people still come to Gettysburg and they are shocked that we have a meter that has an app, or they don't have change because they're used to a different app. I feel like we need to make sure that people are well informed about the opportunities to use a garage, as well as the other things that they need to know when it comes to parking downtown?
Yes to all the above. So as the official plans roll out in the next, I would say, couple weeks at this point, I think we're getting very close. Lincoln Fellowship is very close to announcing the formal program for the week. Part of that program was actually announced at Bike Week this past Saturday night. There is going to be a shuttle system in place, which will be well advertised, so you can park at satellite locations and get shuttled into the core. We do plan to, and thank you for the reminder on the app, because we could include that into our communications to the public, that this is the app, this is how to use it, that's a great idea. We do also, where these things will be part of that press conference as well. I think that'll happen in the next 2 weeks.
Right. And just ensuring, as you're saying, that the garage, which we've talked about before being underutilized, that is something that I'm assuming, or maybe not, shouldn't assume that will be a place where anybody could park.
So given the level of event that is coming, and the persons that will probably be attending, I do believe for a good portion of the week, if not the entire week, and that's still a little bit up in the air, the garage will be for VIP parking only, specific to those that are in the hotel.
Yeah. That's good.
So I don't know that the garage will be available for general public parking for much of the week.
Okay. Great to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and I believe the current plan calls for that entire alley to be sort of transitioned into support for the event.
Yeah, that's makes
correct.
Sense.
Yep.
You mentioned the avenues to explain some of these things. A constituent had suggested a while back, and I haven't said anything about it, but maybe you're already planning this. Some of the businesses that are not currently open might have paper in their windows, and someone said there should be like advertisements, like here are all the events, or here's parking, or whatever. If we supply that, maybe there's a message for Jill, but if we supply the paper.
Great idea. And Jill's trying to communicate with those folks, and some are more elusive than others in responses to phone calls or email inquiries. I know there was a plan, and John, this might have actually predates your tenure, where there was a proposal to put large signage in those large picture windows. And we ran into some challenges with our sign ordinance with that.
Darn.
So I love the idea of advertising that way. Harb may take a different look at that approach. So I don't know, maybe this is an area where council could suspend the sign ordinance for a little while. I don't know. That's just spitballing off the top of my head there based on your question. But yeah, there's challenges with sign ordinance, as there always is.
I think I know the answer to this, or at least I thought I did, but I was admonished over the weekend that we used to provide free parking for bikers. That's never been the policy, correct?
No. It's never been our policy. In fact, I got a phone call about that today, where multiple bikes were parked in the same stall, and the meter was expired, so each bike in that same stall was ticketed, which seems to be a bit gouging, and I get that sentiment, but I explained to this individual that we don't know who paid and who didn't pay, so we kind of have to treat everyone equal in that space. It actually was a very cordial conversation. I was pleasantly surprised. He actually complimented how things ran overall in town. But no, the answer to your question is no, free parking has not been provided by the government. If there is an event out, say, on Culp's Street, where the Heritage Center does provide a special event, they do close that street for bike parking, just like we would do with any other special event permit.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you. Mr. Harbaugh with Public Works.
Good evening. You all should have received my submitted report. Two things on my report. First thing is we're in the process of working on an agility project with the surrounding townships in the program. We started that last week and finishing it up this week. We are also working with the street preservation contractor, Russell Standard. They started today with the chip sealing. And the schedule is as follows. So today, the 13th, was Constitution Avenue, West Broadway, from College Avenue to Brain Gym, East and West Stevens Streets, and 5th Street. Tomorrow will be, and that's with parking removed from the streets and road closures, periodic road closure. It wasn't a whole day road closure, but there was road closures with that. Tomorrow will be East High Street, South Stratton Street, East Middle, from East Middle to Wall Alley, East Middle Street, all of East Middle Street from Baltimore down to 6th Street, Hillcrest and Locust, and finishing up 5th Street, which they got 5th Street done today, so we weren't sure if they were going to get 5th Street done today. That is also with road closures and removal of parking. On the 16th, which is a Thursday, this Thursday, the streets that were done today will be street sweep. They'll come back and take up the excess chips that had not adhered to the tar. They'll sweep them off, and those streets will be Constitution, West Broadway, East and West Stevens, and 5th Street with parking removed. Will be no road closures for the street sweeping, just parking removed. And then on the 17th will be High Street, East Middle Street, Stratton Street, Hillcrest, Locust, same thing. There will be no road closures, just parking removed for that day. And then on the 20th, Monday the 20th, they're going to start fog sealing the streets. So the 20th, they will start with Constitution Avenue, West Broadway, East and West Stevens, and 5th Street. They will have road closures, not the whole day, but periodic road closures and parking removed to place the fog seal. And then on the 21st, they will do High Street, Stratton Street, East Middle, Locust, and Hillcrest. Same deal. There'll be road closures till the fog seal sets up, and then I'll open it back up with parking removed on those streets. Any questions?
That was very comprehensive. Thank you. Has the college been notified of that schedule?
Yes, the contractor, before they even started today, they reached out to all of the people that are involved in those streets that would be affected. They reached out to the college, they reached out to the churches, they reached out to the residents, they reached out to the business owners, and they put a flyer out on all of the residents' doors. So they were notified. There was some confusion with how they put their letter in. That's why I read their schedule tonight, so people know. But they hope to be done. They hope to be done completely within like the middle of next week.
Fantastic. That's great.
That's weather pending.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Any questions for Robbie before we move on? All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Claybaugh.
Good evening, Council, and you should have a copy of my written report. I don't have anything to add to that except for the motions that are on the agenda. So before I start diving into those, President Moon, would you like me to give you an update on each one of those as we hit them, or just give you an update on all of them and then you just run down through the motions?
Let's do the option number 2.
The latter. 4. Okay, so, and most of these things are really just business as usual, administrative type processes. So the first one there is for the CDBG curb ramp project. It's FY's fiscal year 2024. We're always 2 years behind the year that we actually get the money till we actually get the construction. So this year we're doing the same thing. We're replacing curb ramps. Most of the curb ramps at intersections are done in the borough. So we're down to mostly just alley crossings. So everything that's in this year's project are alley crossings. I'm asking tonight for your authorization to advertise that project. We spend your CDBG curb ramp, your CDBG money to do the curb ramps. There is one slight modification from the plans that were included in your packet since I sent them 2 weeks ago. The estimate that we came through was just over $120,000, and you guys get $127,000 in CDBG. So we've been back and forth with the county. They always prefer us to have some alternates in there to get over that amount. They don't like having some money on the table from that CDBG because then they got to push it to a different project and it gets really complicated. And as you know, your next project is the Child Advocacy Center. So rather than confusing the finances, we are going to add one more curb ramp to that. It's at 4th and Y, and we'll bid that as an alternate to make sure we spend all of the $127,000. So again, just looking for your authorization so that I can advertise that project, and then again next month, hopefully I'll be bringing to you good bid results. The second motion on your agenda is with regards to the East Lincoln Storm Drain Project. Now that's a project that's funded by the Stormwater Authority. Earlier tonight, I did get the blessing from the Stormwater Authority to proceed with the project. The council owns the pipes, not the Stormwater Authority. Stormwater Authority doesn't own anything. They're mainly a funding mechanism. So I still need to get your authorization to proceed with getting bids for that. The only caveat that I wanted to say there in terms of the schedule with that project is I'm asking for your authorization to get the bids, but we're not quite ready to get those bids yet. There's a couple of things that still need to fall in place, but the Stormwater Authority only meets every 2 months. So we're not looking to open these bids until September anyways, if hopefully these things fall in place before then. But we still need to get permits from DEP and PennDOT. We're waiting on those. And then the Stormwater Authority is looking to get PennVest funding. So once we get those permits, then we can initiate that project. We already have talked to PennVest about it, but we can't go through that process until we have permits in hand. They have a new rule that you have to have a permit in hand. It can't just be applied for. So that has to fall in place. And then the third thing is we're waiting on GMA to finish their project. As you know, there's 3 different utilities that are working on East Lincoln. Columbia Gas is almost done with what they have to do. Gettysburg Municipal Authority has already, we did get in, Chris did tell us last meeting that they awarded to EK Services. So I'm guessing the EK is going to be starting soon. They need a couple of months to complete their project before we can start ours. So if all of these things fall in place before next month, and then we can open bids, that would be great. That will save us a month or 2. If not, worst case scenario, we'll be opening bids at their following GBSWA meeting, which is in November. Either way, we were planning on doing storm drain work this fall and winter, and we won't be repaving the street until spring of next year anyways. That's always been a plan. So whether we open in September or November doesn't really change the schedule too much. So just wanted to let you know if you authorize those bids tonight and then I'm not ready for a couple of months, that's why. The third item is the change order for the Welcome Center. And so this, there's a $13,891 change order. This is directly in line with the easement that was obtained at the neighboring 344 Baltimore Street, the property just to the south. We were able to obtain an easement from them. In lieu of payment for that easement, we agreed to construction items. These are those construction items that we agreed to. This is fulfilling a promise that you guys had authorized months ago when we took care of that easement. So that is we need your formal authorization to proceed with those changes and get the contractor to add those items. The fourth motion is with regards to the East Water Street Bridge repair. That's the sidewalk on that north side that's been closed down. We're still waiting on PennDOT's structural adequacy approval. As soon as we get it, we'd like to put that thing out to bid. The reality is at this point in the year, until we get it bids and then we have to go through the shop drawing process and order the steel beams. Steel beams have a lead time, a couple months of lead time. We might be into this winter. You can't do bridge work in the middle of the winter. You have to blanket the entire thing, which is, you can't just blanket it, you got to tent it. And that's very expensive. So we'll probably end up having to wait till spring to do some of these things, which we don't have any major objections to. I talked to Robbie about it. The sidewalk's closed. It's fine the way it is to last through one more year. So But for now, we'd like to at least go ahead and get your authorization to advertise for bids while we're waiting on our permit. And then the last item is the final payment to JVI for the 2026 street work. So the project that Robbie's talking about is contract 2 of our street work this year. Project 1 of the street work this year is done. All of the mill and fill base repairs. That project came in really close to what we budgeted for, or not what we budgeted, but what we authorized, within $1,000 or $2,000. It was just a couple of quantity adjustments on the amount of the tons of pavement that we actually used. It really came in really close. So this is just to make that final payment to JVI, and then we can close out their part of this contract. So that is it, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Any questions for our engineer? All right. Anybody care to make a motion for CDBG curb ramps?
I'll make a motion to authorize the borough engineer to advertise the fiscal year 2024 CDBG curb ramp project for construction bids.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Mr. Berger. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. East Lincoln.
I'll make a motion to authorize the borough engineer to advertise the East Lincoln Storm Drain Project for construction bids.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. The change order.
I make a motion to approve change order number 1 of the general construction contract with Gettysburg Construction Company for the Gettysburg Borough Welcome Center project, further defined in Architect's Supplemental Instructions, ASI number 2, in the amount of $13,891.20, which adds an inlet, 45 lineal feet of drain pipe, amends the garden wall, adds a steel side gate, and eliminates the split rail fence at the rear of the adjacent property. All necessary to satisfy items negotiated for the acquisition of the permanent sidewalk easement agreement with the owner of the adjacent property at 344 Baltimore Street, as reviewed and recommended for approval by the borough engineer.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. East Water Street.
Make a motion to authorize the borough engineer to advertise the East Water Street Bridge Repair Project for construction bids.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. And payment number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve application for payment number 1, final to JVI Group Incorporated in the amount of $181,219 for contract number 1 of the 2026 street improvement project.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Any questions for Mr. Claybaugh before we move on? Thank you, sir. Chief Snyder, I trust you had a boring weekend?
Yeah, we had an interesting weekend. Much like Mr. Bale, we did speak to a lot of bikers as well, various conversations. We had a busy beginning of July, even though that'll go on next month's report, which you have my report, it's been submitted electronically. But we had the 4th of July, we rolled right into Bike Week. Our people put a lot of time and effort into that. I'm happy to report that although we were busy, I don't have anything that really would make the newspaper, which is a positive thing. And a lot of it goes back to the planning and the preparation that goes on with our people. I was very proud of the way they were able to manage both events, because it is a lot. And as everybody here knows, there's never a slow weekend in Gettysburg. There's always something going on. In addition to that, if I could just change gears real quick, I noted in the report, Eugene Robertson, he is our new recruit He's made it to his second week at the police academy. He still has a long way to go. We won't see him until December. But that's a positive, that at least the first week, and hopefully everything will go smoothly. I also mentioned in there National Night Out. It is on the 4th of August. Everybody is welcome. Please take a minute and come down to the rec park. We'll be there. Hopefully there's something for everybody there to catch their interest. And the last thing I'll add in here, Warren left, so I really can't say this in front of him, but I think a lot of times people don't realize what goes on behind the scenes when you call 911, you need emergency services, or you have an event such as the 4th of July or Bike Week that goes smoothly. Warren's involved in all that kind of stuff. I've had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with him. I spent my morning with him on an active shooter tabletop exercise. I've had an opportunity to go out and see his center, and I don't think the average person in the county gets an opportunity to do that. And I'm saying this publicly just so people understand how fortunate you are to have that resource. It is a really well-run shop. In a prior life, I ran a PSAP. I wish I had half of the things that he has out there. So kudos to Warren and his staff. A lot of times they're unsung heroes that nobody hears about, thinks about, but they are an important part about, that associated with the entire public safety process. So I wanted to send that out to him. And that would be my report.
All right, any questions for the chief? All right, thank you, sir. I'm glad everybody did well with the last couple of weeks of mayhem. We'll move on to the office of the manager and the treasurer. Ms. Stull is on vacation this week. Perhaps she gave something to Mr. Gable to report in her stead, but otherwise we'll go straight to Mr. Gable.
Just segue off of Chief Snyder's report, I just wanted to point out that we have a new photograph at the top of our agenda today, and this is taken by Officer Kevin McDonald, who apparently is a budding amateur photographer. It's a really nice sunrise over the battlefield, so I just wanted to compliment him for providing that for us. In my report, today was a member of our Public Works Department, Randy Heflin, celebrated his 45th year of employment with Gettysburg Borough. That is an amazing achievement. So we wish him well, and he continues to be in our employ. Talk about pillow tax real briefly. This is the borough's share of the pillow tax that's collected by the County of Adams and distributed amongst a formula that distributes the revenue across the municipalities that have full-time police departments, and so our share of that is reflected in the graph on the screen. You can see year-to-date we're on par with where we were last year, and you can see that coming out of COVID, pillow tax has recovered quite nicely in general terms. One of the highlights, we talked about CDBG under the engineer's report. Wanted to go through just a high-level review of some of our grant funds that have been either applied for or we are currently administering. So you can see with the program year of 2024, CDBG just over $127,000 allotted to the borough for the use of curb ramps. For 2025, the borough received $126,173. Last year, the council pivoted. That will be programmed for Child Advocacy Center. And then we were just in the process currently of going through this year's programmatic review of $127,226. Council obviously still has a decision to make on how they'd like to use those funds. The next public hearing on that will be at the workshop in August, which is August 27th at 6:30 right here in this room.
Is it July?
Did I say that wrong?
I think it's July.
Sorry. We are in July. It'll be July 27th right here in this room. At 6:30. Thank you. FLAP grant, the Federal Lands Access Program grant. This is the grant that we are currently administering through the Federal Highway Administration and PennDOT for the design and engineering of the Baltimore Street project that continues to be ongoing. The Welcome Center is a community project fund that's currently under construction, and we have another meeting with the folks tomorrow. Safe Streets for All, this is a planning grant for the borough's transportation networks per se, and that is also funded, and we will be starting to go through that process here in the next couple months. So I just wanted to highlight some of those grants for you. And then, of course, the last grant that we all like to talk about is the BUILD grant, which was applied for the 6th time this year. The BUILD grant, if awarded, would fund construction of the entire Baltimore Street project, or the Gettysburg Gateway Connectivity Project, its formal name. And it's sad to report that the results of that grant were awarded just last week, and the borough for the 6th time has not been awarded those funds. So even though we have design and engineering underway, we still are trying to figure out how to actually build it. So more on that to come. Currently in liquid cash, the borough has just $2.38 million in its general fund. Year to date, we have 61% revenue collected, 55% expended, currently running a notable surplus, but we still have some big bills pending as we move into the end part of the year. More to come on about the November event. I don't want to belabor that now, and I don't want to get in front of the Lincoln Fellowship's formal announcement of things that week, but just also know, in addition to the parking question, we will be doing more outreach to our business sector, our business community here, so they know how to best prepare for that week. That's coming as well.
Back up.
With that, I'll turn it back to the president for discussion.
All right, any questions for the manager before we start motions? All right. A motion for bills and payrolls.
I make a motion to approve all bills and payrolls for the month as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The COLA increase.
I'll make a motion to authorize a COLA increase for retired police pensioner William Lockman to be paid from the police pension plan effective June 1, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The cooperation agreement.
I'll make a motion authorizing the Borough of Gettysburg to enter into a cooperation agreement with the County of Adams for the fiscal year 2025 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Program Administration. Allison Lintel, Gettysburg Borough Mayor, J. Matthew Moon, President of Borough Council, Alicia Sanders, Vice President of Borough Council, and Sarah L. Stahl, Borough Secretary, are hereby authorized to execute the cooperation agreement on behalf of the Borough of Gettysburg.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we have some appointments here. So the first one is going to be for Harb.
I'll make a motion to appoint Ryan Barnes to the Gettysburg Historic Architectural Review Board for a 5-year term, which will commence in August 2026 and will expire in August 2031.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Another Harb appointment.
I'll make a motion to appoint Stephanie Shera to the Gettysburg Historic Architectural Review Board for a 5-year term, which will commence in August 2026 and will expire in August 2031.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And then we have a Planning Commission appointment.
I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution appointing Brandon E. Sherman as an alternate member of the Gettysburg Borough Planning Commission for a 4-year term, which will expire in January 2030.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. This brings us to our liaison reports for the night. Usually we would start with Ms. Sellers from Main Street, Gettysburg. I believe she's on vacation.
She is somewhere over the friendly skies right now.
Did she give us anything that you wanted to present, or?
No, I covered those in my report largely.
All right. Gara, Mr. Rio.
Well, the 4th of July was a success despite the weather. The Army Band canceled because of the weather, which was a downer, but attendance-wise and logistics-wise, things went really well. Lots of credit and kudos to the staff and also to all the officers and volunteers who made it run smoothly. Excitingly, we have pursued Friends of Gara as a nonprofit to be able to raise money for the park, for the Recreation Authority, and that went really quickly. So there should be an announcement about that soon. I hope I don't think I...
There is now.
I told them I was going to say it. And they told me, go ahead, so. But yeah, that's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Very cool. Good. Mr. Berger, GMA.
Yes, like the borough here, we did have our audit report, and like the borough, we also had the best opinion possible, the unmodified opinion. No major findings. Continue to work in a positive direction. We have stable financial position, and continue to do testing for additional water sources, Andrews Well and the Shaw Well. We had a successful cybersecurity assessment as we seek to strengthen our operational and informational technology systems. As Chad mentioned, we have a contractor in place for the Lincoln Avenue water main replacement between 4th Street and Carlisle Street, EK Services, who did our interceptor work. The gas company is still finishing up, and talking to Mark Geist today, he said hoping to get started in the next few weeks. We're also not quite started yet, but seeking to replace and upgrade the Twin Oaks pumping station, which was in the floodplain near Hack. So we're moving it to higher ground. It'll sit out of sight, but it's kind of next to Dowtout over there. So that's what's going on with GMA.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Steinware Bid, Ms. Mayers.
Steinware Bid did not meet in July, so their next meeting will be on August the 6th.
All right, thank you. Mayor Lintel's not with us tonight for ACPA. I was not able to attend COG this month. Chris, do you have anything for Happy?
Yes. Racehorse Alley Art Committee met to discuss possible opportunities for murals, art, even talked about possible sculpture on Racehorse Alley in conjunction with the GIL project. E-bikes were a topic of discussion, obviously getting more popular, and a lot of changes going on, regulations that kind of vary throughout the country. So we're talking about maybe getting stuff on the website to help people out and try to understand all these changes with e-bikes. We were waiting for the final report of the Boyd School Road Trail. And I know it's a little bit early, but just put out the annual Gettysburg Ride for Trails is on Saturday, September 26th, 2026. We already have 14 sponsorships. Yeah, the route choices are 13, 25, and 43 miles. You can sign up on happy.com, habpi.com. It's $40. Get a nice t-shirt, barbecue lunch, and it begins and ends at the rec park. But you get to go through the battlefield or all the nice country roads, and
cool.
It's always a good event.
Cool, thank you. Mr. Mooney, do you have anything on recycling?
Yeah, based on the public concerns of a resident, I've been paying attention to the recycling cans around town, and they don't seem to be overflowing with the exception of quite a few around the square, which I suspect are connected to businesses. So I'd just like to let people know in general that if you have a lot of recycling, you can bring it directly to the rescue mission, or the rescue mission does pick up on the square on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I would reach out to them and see where you can bring it on the square to get rid of it, because they take everything except for glass. So that's all I have on that.
All right, thank you. All right, I think we had fire and EMS. It takes us to elected officials' comments. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say tonight?
I'd just like to formally announce the date, I mentioned it previously, of the homeless awareness event. It will be on Saturday, October 24th on the square. Public information will be available soon, and I will meet with Karen on Friday to get that permit.
Great. Any other elected officials? Sorry, just adding that to my calendar. I have one thing I'd like to say tonight. A couple of weeks ago, I had to spend a few days at the Gettysburg Hospital, and I just want to really highlight the extraordinary compassion and professionalism of the nursing staff at that hospital. And just want to remind everybody, if you're over the age of 45, please talk to your doctor about a colonoscopy. Preventative medicine goes a long way, and painful days in the hospital are no fun, so please talk to your doctor. It takes us to our second public comment section of the evening. Richard, you got anything?
Our public.
That being the case, we will adjourn to executive session. Thank you, everybody.